Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Keeping It Real podcast. I'm your host, McKaylee Lonaville, and I have my friend Hannah Dugmore on with us today.
Hello.
I'm so excited. You guys, it's going to be fun.
It is going to be so much fun.
So Hannah is just like really cool. So I hope you guys are ready to learn about her.
I am so excited to go through whatever you have for me.
Yeah.
So.
We have I wrote down 45 questions. Well, actually, ChatGPT wrote them down. So we're going to be just talking a little bit about Hannah's testimony. I actually met Hannah at the company we dance for. It's called Wings to Fly Dance Company. It's with dancers in wheelchairs who have Down syndrome, autism, all that. And we danced together at Wings to Fly, and that's how I met Hannah. What, 3 years ago now,
Probably
right?
about three and a half.
Yeah, and you've been with them for how long?
Oh, goodness. Since I was 12,
Oh my
11.
gosh.
So it's been like 10 or 11 years now.
That's crazy.
So.
Yeah, so that's how I met Hannah, and she's been with them. She's a dancer as well. Beautiful ballerina dancer. She's literally gorgeous. So we're going to be talking about just some dance, her testimony, her faith, all the fun things.
Yes.
So
let's go.
Let's get into it, girlfriend. So, Hannah, if you want to just start maybe telling a little bit about yourself, your background. I know that you had a fun career on Musical.ly, all the fun stuff.
Yes, I did.
If you want to just bring us through it and your faith journey, everything like that.
Okay. So, where do we start? Yes, I have been a dancer since I was 5.
Oh my gosh.
So, started out with ballet. I did not like that for a long time. But
Really?
I loved
my gosh.
jazz, contemporary, always loved musical theater stuff. I
Okay.
did theater for a while, but then as I got older, started focusing more on ballet when I was 13, 14,
Wow.
and then started going away for summers specifically for that. When I hit about 14, I was recently starting to be homeschooled.
Okay.
Because, I was just not having it in public school.
Yeah.
It was also starting to get a little tough with, my dance schedule.
Yeah.
But really, it was just, my family and I didn't agree with, state testing.
Yeah.
It didn't work for my brother. We were having problems with, school teachers
Oh my
and,
gosh.
them just throwing people in. So my parents made the decision to pull us out of public school and start to homeschool us / virtual school when it was not very popular and kind of looked down upon still. And so I started virtual school. That was about 8th grade. And that year I downloaded this fun app called Musical.ly, which nobody really knew of at the time. It was not popular.
That's crazy.
But I started making videos, and it was a much different world than it is now.
Yeah.
And it was actually safe for young kids to be on.
Yeah.
So I was about 14 and started making these videos on there, and I got featured once. So their featured was kind of like their For You page on there now.
Okay.
But it was just a random video, and it was something that the actual company of Musical.ly, their marketing directors chose to promote. And so those who got featured, their accounts were automatically boosted.
Oh
so
my
you got a
gosh.
lot of attention on your account. So starting out, I liked to make funny comedy videos.
Yeah.
And it was all just stupid, silly sounds and stuff.
Yeah.
To where you could really just kind of be you, and nothing was judgmental about it. Everybody was just there for the fun of it.
Okay.
And so then I started to incorporate a lot of my dance stuff, and I kept getting featured, so my videos kept getting boosted, and my account quickly started to grow. And then probably not even 6 months later, I was already at a couple 100,000 followers.
Oh my
So my
gosh.
parents had no clue what the heck it was that I was doing when I told them that I got featured on this app.
They're like,
And
okay,
so
Hannah.
they were like, what are you even talking about? So I quickly got them involved too, and kind of had to re-explain what the heck this was,
Yeah.
what these videos I was making, what this app was, because it just wasn't anything there wasn't anything previously like it. It was truly the first thing to be created, and Vine had kind of just fallen through
Oh my gosh,
when
fine.
Musically started to come up. So it was just like a whole new world, and it was so like kid friendly as well.
Right.
So they became introduced to it. I kept making videos. At that point, they kind of helped me a lot with like my filming stuff and like my consistency on there.
Right.
And also starting to manage like marketing strategies and working with brands.
Oh my
and so my
gosh.
parents quickly became like my little managers.
So fun.
And it was fun. And then my brother got involved. And so I just kept making videos every day, I guess.
Oh
and
my gosh.
then probably about it was that next summer, so what would have been like my normal freshman year of high school,
Uh-huh.
I got invited out to VidCon,
Mm.
which is like are you familiar with VidCon?
I don't think so.
It's like a lot of like YouTubers. It was really just for like
Okay.
YouTube and Vine back then, and like Twitter
Okay.
and Snapchat. They were like all up
Okay.
in there. But Musically, it being like the new big thing, had a big booth there that summer.
Wow.
So they invited me out, and I flew out to California in Anaheim, and they asked me to do like a short performance,
Oh my
since I was
gosh.
now known as like the dancer on the app.
Oh my
And it was like
gosh.
actual dance stuff. So I choreographed probably like a 2.5 minute like contemporary ballet piece,
Stop
and
it.
like promoted it to where I told everybody I was going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And on the first day of VidCon, I opened their like booth, I guess.
Uh-huh.
And everybody came over to watch the performance. Then after that, the
gosh.
next day, I got to launch their live streaming app with them, which they still use today, but it was called Lively.
Okay.
And so that was probably one of the best and biggest things that I got to do for that app, was launch their live streaming platform.
That's so cool.
So on there, that was like the next biggest thing that they were doing, and it quickly brought in a lot of attention, and that's also kind of where you started to make your money at.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was able to build both my finances and followers at the same time at the prime age of 15.
Wow, that's so cool.
While still doing school here and there virtually, and dancing like full time.
Oh my gosh. So did you have to like post a certain amount of videos when you did that?
I aimed for like, I think it was like 2 a day. So just like
Okay.
somewhat consistent to the point where people wouldn't forget about you, but you also wouldn't be like blowing up the platform, I guess.
And did they make you like post a certain thing, or was it kind of just like you could post what you want?
It was whatever you wanted, and everybody on there, it was about like 10 of us that were kind of like the group that would kind of travel around together. Everybody kind of associated us together, and everybody was like had something unique and like specific that people knew them as.
Oh wow.
So I was known for all of the dance stuff, and another girl was known for like her comedy skits, and one was singing, and one was like lip syncing, and it was like everybody kind of had their own thing.
That is so cool though.
Yeah, and so it lasted for a couple years. I kept making videos until I was 17, 18. And right around then is when I started, actually one of my best friends, Athena, she kind of tried to pull me into church by the ear.
Okay.
So I was 17 and finally agreeing to go to church with her.
Okay.
And so on a Sunday, I walked in. I was so nervous because I didn't grow up with parents who, pulled us into the church. My family's just not like Sunday churchgoers.
Yeah.
So that was never something that I was super familiar with.
Okay.
Or around ever. So I had always had Athena in my ear about it, though, trying to get me in, and her mom trying to pull me in, too.
Yeah.
So I went that Sunday, and it was kind of like a little seed planted. I don't think I was very consistent after that for a bit, but then I ended up making my way back in.
Okay.
And as my faith kind of started growing, or I guess I started becoming more curious about it.
Yeah.
That was right around the time where Musically was being sold over and becoming TikTok, which it still is today.
Okay.
So TikTok then changed the brand quite drastically.
Yeah.
To where everybody kind of started making the same videos.
Yeah.
And it quickly started to become not a very kid appropriate app.
Agreed.
And something that I always kind of like advocated for was my content being kid friendly. Like when I was younger and kids would watch my live streams,
Yeah.
parents would go on there with them,
That's so
and they
important.
knew that their kids could watch my videos, my live streams without them
Right.
having to monitor it, because
Yeah.
I didn't use sounds that had cuss words in it, or
Right.
did inappropriate dancing, or referenced things that were not kid friendly.
Right.
And all of that had
That's
kind of
so
been
good.
thrown out the door when
Right.
TikTok became a thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
very like immodest dancing started to become a thing, and
Mhm.
dressing a little skimpier, and just
Mhm.
things that I never supported, and it just started to not sit right with me.
Yeah.
And so all of this was kind of happening at the same time. My faith was starting to grow, and my
Wow.
content was kind of being changed. And so I started to take a step back and not make videos anymore.
Okay.
And it wasn't like a clean cut type of thing, but it was more of like a slowly fading out.
Right.
And as they also were trying to pull in new creators.
Okay.
So I wasn't like, it wasn't the same crowd that I had before. So I just kind of slowly started to
So
take a step back.
yeah.
And at that same time, I started to grow more in my faith.
That's so. Isn't it so crazy how that works?
It was such like weird timing, and it was a lot to kind of figure out, and it was very hard for like my parents and I as well, since this was something they viewed as, we've invested all of these years
Absolutely.
into building this brand, and
Absolutely.
you're kind of just letting it go.
Yeah.
But it was such like a tear for me
Mhm.
between like the world and like my faith,
Mhm.
and you know, things that really just like don't go together.
Oh yeah.
And so I kind of had to make a decision,
Yeah.
and I took a step back.
That's so crazy. So when you took a step back, did you kind of just take a step back like this is it, or was it kind of like gradually?
I feel like it was more gradual.
Gradual. Yeah.
Yeah, as I kind of figured it out more, and what kind of like my values were at that point.
Because and also when we're young, we put so much value into worldly things too.
Yes.
You know, like it's
Yeah,
so important.
exactly.
It's so important to like be this, or I put your identity in this, because we don't understand the value of having an identity in God yet. Like
Exactly.
we don't get that yet when we're
Yep.
that age. So I mean, I feel like it's hard. I mean, when I was young and I was dancing all the time, like that was me. That was who I was.
That's who everybody, exactly.
Mhm.
That's who people associate you as.
Exactly. You're the dancer, you're
Yes.
this, you're that. And then especially like for you, like you're the Musically girl. Like I
Yeah.
can't imagine like how hard that was also to take a step away.
Yeah. And it didn't even just affect me, but my family too, because they
Right.
invested just as much time into it as I did.
And money.
And
too.
money, yeah.
Yeah.
And it took a lot out of you to be that
Yeah.
consistent, to travel for it.
Yeah.
And it was years that kind of felt like it was being like thrown away.
Yeah.
But then at a certain point, like you kind of feel like, okay, I had my time.
Right.
And I did it in the right timing. Like nowadays, if I do enjoy like making little videos still,
Yeah,
or
of
doing
course.
things that like making content that is like fulfilling for what I love now.
Right.
But doing it on that kind of level again,
Yeah.
it's just a different world now
Yeah.
than it was a couple years ago.
Oh yeah. And it's like I feel like there's so much more requirements now.
There is.
I mean, I don't really know because I'm clearly not a famous TikToker, but I just feel like there's a lot more requirements of like how you have to be, what you have to do, like all these things, which
Yeah.
is scary.
Yeah, you have to live up to like a certain expectation to what others
Yeah.
think of you.
And it's like also like you said, it's not being it's not kid friendly at all.
Yeah.
Whatsoever.
You like you take one step in the wrong direction and you're in like an awful place.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like
it's
seeing
scary.
things that nobody should be posting on the internet.
No.
And
Mhm.
another thing that's like was very frustrating is that a lot of my videos would get censored, and just wearing even a pair of like jean shorts I would have on, and it would get censored as
Yeah.
like inappropriate for no right reason. But then you have other people who are posting things that should not be on the internet and are getting promoted.
Isn't
So
that
that
wild?
was such a change, and like
yeah.
like it had a very like demonic feel about it for a good couple years, especially during like the COVID time, like
Absolutely.
quarantine time.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of
Absolutely.
like super heavy stuff was getting pulled into social media,
Yeah.
and it was causing like it affected people really bad.
Absolutely. Well, you think about like actually what social media is, besides people who are doing things good on social media, what social media actually is literally Satan. Like, it's
Yeah.
literally Satan pulling all of like the worldly things.
It brings a
all
lot
the
of comparison.
Yes, comparison, the worldly things. Oh, I'm not doing this. Oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. It's bringing men who are married to see wrong things.
Yes.
You know?
Yes, it's so true.
It's crazy, and that is literally what Satan does.
It leads a lot to like, it can lead a lot to unfaithfulness.
Oh, yeah.
In many different aspects of your life.
Oh, yeah. And, like, even just, like, being able to message someone or like something
Yes.
that no one else will see.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, I think about when I was younger and, like, when I had, like, boyfriends and stuff, like, I would look, oh, my gosh, did he like this girl's picture?
Yes.
Did he?
And it brings so much insecurity and comparison.
So much. And, like, I'm, 14, 15, like, feeling this insecure? Like,
Exactly.
that's crazy.
Exactly.
It's crazy. And, like, I think about these kids now, and, like, when we were 14, 15, we didn't have it at the capacity that these kids now have it at.
Mm-hmm.
These kids have these things now that I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
When I have kids, they're going to be in a box.
It's going to be a no iPad house for me.
No iPad house, no YouTube.
No,
Sorry,
nothing.
kids.
They're not even going to know it exists because it's so terrible.
It's so I'm going to live on a farm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna live on a farm in the middle of nowhere.
I hope so. I really hope so.
It's just scary, but I think what's really cool that you did was that you didn't let it influence you in a wrong way, because you could be at a completely different point than you are.
100%.
You know,
Yeah.
and that's what's scary. And I also think, like, you also grew up in a household, I believe, that didn't also advocate for that either.
Oh,
you know,
no, absolutely
which
not.
is important.
You know, my parents raised me to, if you want to wear a tighter pair of pants, then you wear a loose shirt. If you want to wear a tighter shirt, then you wear a loose pair of pants. It's not like crop top and booty shorts.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, it's modesty still.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and growing up in dance, it's like a little hard sometimes because you're like trotting around in a leotard and tights, but it's still, my parents always pushed, you know, modesty and appropriate dressing on me.
That's
which
so good.
I always felt like I had a very good like moral compass, even before I stepped into my faith.
Yeah.
But then like as growing my faith, I like appreciated that so much because I feel like it saved me from so many things.
So many things. I mean, I wish, like, so I always grew up as like a Christian. I grew up in a Christian household, like, but it wasn't like so much. Like, it wasn't. There was a lot of church hurt in my family, so it was like a little pull. We were kind of pulled away from it.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, like, my mom still was like about modesty and stuff, but I didn't really listen to it, and I wish that I would have listened to it more. But even like when I was dancing, I was a competition dancer, so we would be in the bras, in the booty shorts.
Yes.
And I look at it now, I'm like, if my kid was in that now,
I'd throw a big T-shirt on him.
And it's like, I just can't believe that I even did those things.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, I wear a dress sometimes, and I'm like, oh my gosh,
I need to like get change it or something. Yeah,
it's
no.
so bad.
But also like being in your faith makes you recognize those things more.
Yeah.
And it's just like a natural, like you'll be pulled in a better direction, even just being in your faith. And even if you're not like aware of it yet, like naturally, like pursuing God pulls you in those directions.
Absolutely.
Right. Things.
No, literally. And also it makes you more beautiful.
It does,
like, it really does. I remember when I was younger and I just wanted to be beautiful by dressing in the skimpiest clothes I could possibly wear. But, like, now I'm like, okay, that's not beautiful.
No.
Like, this is beautiful. You know, in a dress, in nice clothes, and in making my hair look nice without, like, the fake eyelashes and the winged eyeliner.
Exactly.
Oh, my gosh. I was looking at pictures of me the other day. I used to wear fake eyelashes and winged eyeliner.
My goodness. Like, every day?
Yes. It was scary.
Oh, wow. I cannot imagine seeing you like that.
No, right?
Because I just know you as, like, such a natural person.
Yes. I know. I've really done a 360.
Yeah. I feel you. I
But
feel you on that, though.
it's so true. Like when you go in your faith, it pulls you towards like such light things, and it pulls you towards like so much joy and peace and love, and it's like so much better than anything else that you could imagine. It really is.
Yeah.
And that's like something that like I come on here. I mean, people who listen to every podcast, I'm like, find God, find joy, peace, love,
please.
But it's true, you know.
Is.
And there's nothing, you cannot explain it until you experience it.
Yes,
You know, it's like once you actually do it, once you give your life to the Lord, once you're in your faith, there's like nothing that can compare. It's like literally you are in this like little box of darkness, and then you're like lifted out into like a blossoming, beautiful flower of light. You know. And it's just, I don't know how to explain it. Just experience it, y'all.
It's worth it. It's worth the decision.
It is. So now, since you didn't grow up in like a Christian like household or like, you know, parents that went to church every Sunday, have they started following more since you've gotten into it?
Not like how I do. Like, I go to church on Sundays by myself.
Okay.
So they don't really tag along with me. Yeah. But sometimes I'll invite them, and they will say yes on occasion. Yeah. They're not against it. They will never speak against it ever. Right. But it's like they're just not the ones who feel pulled to go every Sunday. Yeah. So... And that's okay. It's still like a little bit of a battle.
And your family's so sweet. She has like the sweetest mom.
I do. I have the best parents, the best brother, and the best grandparents.
Yeah, you really do. She comes from like the cutest family ever.
They're awesome. They really are. Yeah, I have the best parents. So.
That's so awesome. I love it.
Yeah, it took me from about 17 to 19 to really make the decision to follow Christ. Yeah. And I got baptized when I was 19.
That's awesome.
So, that's awesome. Growing up, like, the main part of my testimony was really closely linked to dance. Yeah. And so dance was my whole life. It was my identity, just like yours.
Oh, yeah.
And so focusing more in ballet is tied a lot to body image. And that was something that was really pushed on me from... It started to get more, like, it started to be more, like, potent, I guess, when I was, like, 15. And then it kind of started to get really bad when I was, like, 16 and 17. Okay. Just ballet teachers pushing a certain image on me, you know, making those comments and using nasty language to describe it to me. I mean, as, like, a kid, like, being told that your legs look too big or that, like, your stomach is out too much, so you need to suck in your stomach, or teachers telling me what to eat during the week to lose weight. Wow. And quickly altered my body image, and I feel like that's something that, like, for as long as I can remember, it was always something that was planted in me. Like, I feel like I always had a, like, body image issue, and it was because of ballet. So I ended up having... what I feel like a pretty intense, like, eating disorder when I was 17. Wow. And coming into church and kind of, like, giving that to God was something that, it was a big process, and it took me a while. Yeah. And it's something that still lingers, like, today. 100%. You know, like, body image, it's something that never goes away, but it's something that you can give up control over. But it was so intense in my life at that time that when I did give it up, it was like an overwhelming feel of emotions that kind of pulled me a little bit back from ballet for a good year or so. Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. I remember I auditioned. I don't remember. It was for a summer program. The audition. That's what destroyed me.
Destroyed you. Because I got an email. I got a letter back, and I think I was like 15. Maybe 14, and they were like, your body isn't right to do this. And I was like, what?
I can call out a couple companies right now. Yeah, I remember when I was 14 years old. It was the summer that I was turning 15, that audition season. I was 14, and I got accepted into SAB, School of American Ballet.
Yes, that's what I was auditioning for.
I got accepted into SAB when I was 14. Okay. And I remember that I was in New York still that, like, February when I had gotten the acceptance letter, and I so vividly remember it. I was ice skating with Athena and my other best friend Taylor,
Okay.
because they were with us. And my mom pulled me off to the side of the ice skating rink at Rockefeller Center and told me that I got accepted. And I looked at her and I said, yes, like this year, like I was finally skinny enough to get accepted.
Wow.
I was finally small enough to get accepted into their program.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's wild. It's
and
wild.
I was 14.
And how
saying
messed
that,
up, like in your mind as a 14-year-old.
like knowing that they only accept a certain body type, and I finally fit that standard for them to get accepted. And then your body starts going through changes. 16, 17, I auditioned for San Francisco Ballet, didn't get accepted because I knew that my body had changed.
Yeah.
And that's like the look that they have.
Yep.
Like they want that little boy, tall, skinny, lengthy, with like 2% body fat on them, and I no longer had that, and so it destroyed me when I didn't get accepted.
Oh, destroyed. I remember I would like audition for all these ballet things, and I was like, first of all, why am I even trying? Because I do not have a ballet body. First of all, like I just don't. I don't have a ballerina body. So like, and I knew that in the back of my head, but I wanted it so bad because you're so wrapped up in it, and you're so wrapped up in thinking I have to be this certain way to get this. I have to be this certain way to be accepted, which then goes into every other thing in your life. It goes into relationships. It goes into friendships. It goes into everything.
Seeking validation in every single aspect of your life. Yeah. Because you're always used to having a standard to meet.
Oh, yeah. And it's like, as much as a dance is a blessing, it is when you are young and you are getting into those things, it's so scary. And it messes you up in so many ways.
Oh, it does for years. Like, I will forever, like, hold the things that, like, ballet, like, developed my brain a certain way to, like, think a certain way. And that's just how I will forever think.
I know.
You know, like, looking at yourself a certain way, that just will always stick with you.
Yeah. And it's like also being in a relationship too, and I'm like, oh, I'm so bloated today. I'm so fat today. I'm
and
so
they're like, just stop because you're not. And I'm like, you don't understand. I deal with the same thing too.
Bad.
It's so bad. I'll be like, I just like can't do it today. Like I can't look at myself in the mirror today because I just feel a certain way. I can feel that fluctuation. I don't even like the way, like, I don't like the way my skin feels on my skin, and that is a long-term issue. Yeah, that still lingers.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then Chase, you know, I tell him that, and he's like, "Why do you even say those things?" He's like, "Because I see you as beautiful, and then when you say those things, I'm like, oh, is she bloated? Oh, wait, is she this? God. You know?" He's like, I don't see those things. He's like, but you see these crazy things in your head where it's like, how do you even think that way? You know? He's like, because I don't see it, and it's like, people don't understand unless you've been in like a dance background. It really messes you up. It does. But then he reminds me, the other day we had this conversation. He's like, what does God say about you? You're worthy. You're beautiful. You're loved. You're perfect. You're everything in God's image of how he made you exactly how you're supposed to be. So that is, it is. And it's so like sweet. The best thing because we get to fall back on like what God thinks about us instead of like what the ballet teachers told us.
It's so true because what the ballet teachers told us is like all of the worldly things, like about seeking, you know, and that doesn't, what they told us, it's not a problem with us, it's a problem with them, and it's a problem with their heart. And so that was just like reflected onto us and caused us to have to deal with things that were avoidable.
Yeah, and what they were taught. And what they were taught, Like, you think about the ballet teachers, I mean, what, 40, 50 years of having this image about themselves.
Exactly, that's all they know. And it's not like they're God-seeking Christians. It's
right. So true.
Most of the time they're not, and that's why you get that pushed on you.
Yeah. So the other thing that I really struggled with was when I stopped dancing and how much my body changed.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That was hard.
Yeah.
Because like going from dancing every day from 9 to 5 and then dancing on a cruise ship and then just going from not anymore and the changes in your body, that was really hard. It's like you develop an eating disorder all over again.
Or you have like an identity crisis.
Fully.
In who you are.
Yeah, and
you can try and like, and I mean, as you're like growing in your faith more, like you seek God for who you actually are in his image.
Right.
But it still is hard because it lingers in the back of your mind because it's still like you're fighting all that you've known.
Right. And it's like just the lies from the enemy. He loves to tempt us with all those things.
And it's constant. And it's like a constant battle that you're having to like push away.
Yeah.
And just continue to like give it to God.
Yeah.
And like try and push the past behind you.
Yeah. And like give up the control. That's my problem.
Yes.
I like to
yeah.
control things.
I am with you on that.
And
It's hard. It's hard.
We talked about that in church today, and our pastor was just like, you literally have to give up control.
Yeah.
Like you have to surrender to God, and when you do, all of like the peace, the joy, the love that comes from it. So true, but it's definitely body image is one of like, I know for a fact like Satan uses body image for dancers to literally break them down and attack them.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's
Absolutely,
so sad.
because I think all of us have gone through it at some point.
Oh yeah,
All of
absolutely.
us.
Especially when you go to like, especially this is the part too for like all the dancers out there. I know that you can relate to this. When you are in your own little group and then you go to like a summer program and then you see those dancers and you're like,
oh,
whoa.
it is like a world of comparison. It is
Yep.
a never-ending cycle of comparison
Yep.
and self-doubt
Yeah.
and staring at yourself in the mirror
Oh yeah.
and
Mhm.
skipping breakfast,
Oh yeah.
eating a really small lunch
After you're there dancing
after,
from
for
9
like
to
8
5
hours
Yep.
a day. Yeah.
Yep. And something that I think is so beautiful, like with the company that we're with. So again, just to explain a little bit, Wings to Fly Dance Company is what we're with. We dance with kids in wheelchairs, with Down syndrome, autism, all the things.
Cerebral palsy.
So yeah, oh my god, and it's I don't even know how to explain it.
It's one of the most, if you, while we're dancing, or if you're attending it, it is one of the most, like, spiritual experiences
Yeah,
that you could probably have
Yeah.
outside of, like, just your direct, like, when you first, like, commit your life to Christ.
right.
And that is, like, the most connected, I feel like, moment that you've felt so
Yeah.
far with him. Like, attending one of our shows or even just dancing in it, like, you can cry
Yeah.
on either side of it. It's just
Oh,
so
yeah.
emotional,
Mhm.
and it is such, like, a spiritual experience.
It is, and it's like
It's beautiful.
never in my life. I always wondered like what I was going to do in dance and like what I was going to be, and there is nothing that compares to bringing a smile on these kids' faces
Yeah.
than we do.
It changes lives.
Mhm. does.
Every single time for them
Yeah.
when they're getting to dance or
Mhm.
for people attending our shows,
Yeah.
it changes lives.
And like it really opens my eyes. I was talking about this with my friend like just after a rehearsal, and just like, can you imagine being confined into something and never being able to do anything for yourself? I mean, you cannot change yourself. You cannot go to
Yeah.
the bathroom by yourself. If you have your menstrual cycle, having someone to change that
Yeah.
for you. I mean, I cannot imagine. And for 2 minutes that they're on that stage, they get to forget about that.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like unbelievable.
And it's worth all of the time
Yeah.
that you put into it
Mhm.
and that Tasha dumps into us.
Yeah.
Too.
Oh yeah. And
Tasha, Tina, and Tara. All
Yeah.
three of our directors.
they're amazing. And what they've done for these kids, I mean, they're out there, Tara's, I mean, probably in her 40s, 50s, out
Yeah.
there harnessing. She harnesses one of
a
the,
full-on adult.
yeah,
Dead
harnessing.
body weight. Somebody who
Yeah.
can't hold themselves. And she's dancing for them. She's giving them her body
Yeah.
to use.
Yeah, and it's so unbelievable. But I like that has been just something like in my life that has completely changed my world. Like if you have the opportunity to be with someone who has Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, autism, whatever it is, like go and spend that time with them because you have no idea like how much it'll actually change their
Freeing
life.
it is for them.
Yeah. And just like the little girls.
The cognitive development that we
Yeah.
have seen in our two little girls that dance for us,
It's crazy.
like Addie and Scarlett,
It's wild.
it is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, Scarlett started with us when she was 5 years old,
Mhm.
and she was completely nonverbal.
Wow.
They don't know exactly what she has, but she could not speak. I am telling you now,
Yeah.
2 years later,
Mhm.
she makes full-on sentences.
Yeah.
She knows the choreography to things.
Yeah, she literally
She,
does.
in her walker, will walk around the room and call people by name.
Yeah.
She'll sing the songs, every single lyric in
Yeah.
the dances that
It's
she's in.
Mhm.
And it's to see that progress in her and to
Mhm.
know that it's because of dance
Yeah.
and this being incorporated into her life
Yeah.
is literally has changed not only her life quality
Mhm.
but also like the hope that her family now has for her.
Yeah, it's so true. And like she just goes around and says, "I love you" to everyone.
Yes.
And it's just like that is so beautiful that they are getting to experience that love.
Yep.
And what I think is so beautiful about it is that this is a company that doesn't care about your size, what disability you have, it doesn't matter. And that's
We're all
how
just
dance
there for
is.
the same reason, because we
Yes.
genuinely love to dance and to
Mhm.
perform.
Yeah, and to give back.
Yes.
To like what also God created. Like God created these people and they don't deserve to just be sitting and in their own
They
body.
still have purpose.
Yeah, and it's like they're not just a wheelchair. They're not just someone who has Down syndrome. They are
There's a soul
light.
in their
Yes.
body. There's a soul in their body that has a purpose.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
And Wings to Fly gives them that opportunity to
Yeah.
express that.
No, it really has been like the most. I'll never forget my first day walking in. Like I didn't really understand like what it was.
What you were getting yourself into.
I was a disaster. I got in
my
my car
goodness.
afterwards. I was like,
Falling
oh
right
my
up.
gosh.
Yes.
But okay, so this is
overwhelming.
crazy. It's overwhelming. Okay, but listen to this. How crazy is this? So one of my mom's like old friends, it was like one of her best friends. She took care, so my mom's best friend's best friend,
Wow, that's a long line.
it's a long line, had a daughter that had cerebral palsy. And my mom's best friend like took care of the daughter. It was like the daughter's mom didn't want to take care of her anymore.
Okay.
So her friend took care of her. And her name was Mackenzie, and I grew up with this little girl. And she had cerebral palsy and she could like make noises. She couldn't speak or anything.
Yeah.
But I met her when she was 5.
Wow.
And it's crazy that like I was called her best friend. Like I was her best friend. She loved me every time she saw me. Like she would ask for me because she could like talk through her eyes. If you asked her something, she would speak through her eyes.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy how God does like a full 360 of like growing up with that little girl to like now dancing.
That's so crazy.
With people with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's like the invisible string
Yes.
method. Like everything will always like work out in God's timing.
Yes.
Like
Mm-hmm.
it's just crazy
It's
how
crazy.
linked everything is with each other.
And I'll never forget, I texted them right after like my first rehearsal with you guys, and I sent them a video, and she sent me a video of Mackenzie watching the video, and they both were crying. Isn't that just so sweet?
That is amazing.
I know.
And that probably gives her so much hope too.
Yeah.
Seeing that other kids that are like her
Yeah.
have the ability to do this, and so can she.
Yeah. Yeah. And now she's like, I think she's like 22.
Oh my
Isn't
goodness,
that crazy?
That is crazy.
And it's also like their life expectancy is so short.
It is.
So like give them the best life that they possibly can have.
Yep.
So that's just like my encouragement for today. Like if you see someone in a wheelchair or anything, like just be like so kind and so nice to them.
Like go say hi to them. Go ask them how their day is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if they can't respond to you in the typical way that we can.
Yeah.
Like just engaging with them.
Yeah.
Like they will think about that forever.
Forever.
Like, it makes the biggest difference.
I mean, even I don't know, like, because if you think about it, like, how many people are staring at them? Just, like, staring at them, looking at them.
Knowing that they're not stereotypical normal.
Yeah, it's so sad. So just go be nice, okay? Be nice to people.
Go be the person that reaches out.
Yes. So, also, Hannah is one of many talents. So you're in nursing school right now.
I am. I'm a full-time nursing student in my third semester.
Gosh, that's so exciting.
Yes, so I graduate in May. So
oh my gosh.
I am almost done.
Wait, so what made you start?
So my whole life I knew I was supposed to be in the medical field.
Okay.
I always said that I was going to be a pulmonologist.
Okay.
But that's because it was all I knew. So
I don't know what that is.
A doctor that deals with like lungs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Like a pulmonologist, like pulmonary anything.
Okay.
So because that's all I kind of knew.
Yeah.
So my little brother, not so little brother, I guess, he's 18 now.
Oh my god.
He has cystic fibrosis, which is a genetic disorder that affects the lungs, the digestive system, the pancreas, and it's due to a salt imbalance in the body. So his body doesn't produce enough salt or salt at all to break down the mucus that our body normally does, specifically in his lungs. So, because he doesn't have the salt to break down the mucus, thick, sticky mucus starts to form, which commonly causes infection.
Okay.
So also another thing that's kind of linked to cystic fibrosis is his pancreas doesn't produce enzymes, which enzymes is what breaks down the food in your body. So
Okay.
you intake food, your pancreas releases enzymes to break it down so that your body can absorb the nutrients.
Okay.
So each time that he eats, he takes enzymes with every meal, with every drink that has calories, or else he
Wow.
won't absorb anything and it will quite literally go right through him.
Oh my god.
So, growing up, he was really, really sick. He was a super sick baby, a super sick kid. A
Yeah.
lot of my memories with him were in the hospital for a couple weeks stay at a time, usually 2 to 3 weeks.
Wow.
So, he was really sick between the ages of, well, his whole first year of life. I can still smell the throw up that was in the car.
Oh my gosh.
But from 6 to
Wow.
8, he was really sick with double lung pneumonia.
Okay.
And so that rapidly caused a lot of scarring to occur in his lungs. And so he was hospitalized for quite lengthy periods of time.
Wow.
And so I grew up obviously with him going in and out of the hospitals. And so I quickly saw what a good healthcare team looks like versus a bad healthcare team. He started off down at St. Mary's Hospital, which is a level 1 trauma center here in Florida that's a little bit south. That's where he had always gone because his cystic fibrosis team of doctors, that was where their clinic was down at St. Mary's on the outskirts of it.
Okay.
So often that's where he would get hospitalized, was at that hospital.
Okay.
And it's not in a good area, and it's quite literally a miserable stay if you're stuck there, especially for 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh my god.
The doctors didn't necessarily treat him with as intense care as he needed.
Okay.
So I think it was probably closer to 8, 9 years old now. He ended up getting transferred up to Nemours, which is in Orlando, Florida. And we were introduced to like a whole nother world of healthcare.
Wow.
It is truly the most amazing place, like, for healthcare that I've ever
Really?
been. And like right off the bat, I was like, I want to work here. When
my
I'm older,
gosh.
whatever I do, I want to work here.
Yeah.
And he got the most amazing team of doctors, the most amazing team of nurses that quite literally saved his life.
Wow.
So
Wow.
he had, again, double lung pneumonia and also the second worst microbacterium that a CFer could get. And that was
Oh my god.
causing rapid scarring in his lungs.
Oh my god.
So he was there for, again, 2 to 3 weeks. And he's still like such a little peanut. He's still so
Yeah.
young and so sick. But then shortly after, they introduced a medication called Trikafta. It was a clinical trial that was about to be started. It was something that we had to apply for, but it was being offered to us for him to start. And looking kind of over the side effects, we were like, I don't know. There was some really pretty intense side effects that could come along with this because it was a full-on clinical trial.
Wow.
And so there was about 100 kids in the whole U.S. that were put on this trial. Again, there was a placebo, so one that wasn't actually the drug, but that people were being given.
Right.
And then there was the actual drug that the people were being given. So he
my
started this when he was probably about 10. And we knew within the first dose that he was given that he had the drug. The amount of like purging that was coming from his lungs, like coughing up mucus constantly. This drug, it pretty much reverses the salt deficiency in the body.
Okay.
So it helps to break down the mucus that's in their lungs so that they can cough it up and out. Again,
Wow.
Preventing infection when there's less mucus just sitting there.
Right.
So within literally the first pill that he took, we knew that he had the drug. So
Gosh.
again, a year later now, they're finally able to tell us that he was on the medication the whole time. The clinical trial ended up going throughout 4 years, and then he was finally done, and it got FDA approved for. It was like within that age range that he was at. It was maybe like 10 to 18 or something. And now, like babies are able to take it.
Wow.
And it's been out on the market for probably close to 2 years now.
Oh my god.
So it has changed the life expectancy. When he was born, the life expectancy, I want to say, was maybe 30 years old. Now it is like a normal person. It's about 65 to 68 years old for a person with cystic fibrosis.
And this is just like a medication they take.
This is a medication they take in the morning and the night. It's just a pill.
And they take it every day.
They take it every day.
Okay.
Yes. So seeing like that amazing healthcare team and how they changed not only Caleb's life, but my whole family's life.
Right.
And I knew that I wanted to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And eventually when I started college at like 18, I narrowed it down. My mom thought I was crazy when I told her I went in and switched it to like a medical field as like my major. She was like, "What are you doing? I give it 2 weeks, you're going to switch it back." And I was like, "No, I'm like pretty serious about this."
Oh my gosh.
And I ended up narrowing it down to nursing. So I started the program, it was a lengthy process to apply.
Yeah.
So it takes about a year to apply and to get in, and you have to test into the program. And then I started it last August, and now I graduate in May.
Oh my gosh.
And so I am leaning towards being a trauma ICU nurse or being in a medical ICU, and then pursuing becoming a nurse anesthetist after that.
That is so cool.
So,
that's so
I've got a lot more school ahead of me, but I love it so much, and it's such a calling, and it's something that God has always put on my heart to do.
That is so cool, and it's so cool that, like, you got to experience that with your brother, just be like, okay, I want to help kids or help people, like, heal and do all those things, and also, like, because I also, like, agree that, you know, there were medicines out there, too, that God created to help people heal and things, like, I believe that some of them aren't great, but I also believe that he also made medical things so that we could heal from things. So is your brother like good now?
He is thriving. So now he's 18. He is tall and skinny still. He weighs a solid 132 pounds. Aww. But he is like thriving. His pulmonary function is about 98%. I always joked around with him. Yeah. And I told him that he probably has better pulmonary function than half the kids at his high school.
Wow. Seriously.
So, yes, nowadays it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's doing so well. He just he was getting over another little patch of pneumonia. It is just so common for CFers to get, but they put him on a couple courses of antibiotics, and it kind of kicks it out of his system.
Wow. Does he get a lot more sick, like, usually than, like normal?
I swear I get sick more than he does now, especially because I'm in the hospital all the time.
Right, yeah.
But, I mean, the kid is a champ. Like, he is the strongest person I know.
Wow.
He's been poked. He has had surgeries. He has had his lung punctured from surgeries.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, I mean, he was little, and they poked a hole in his lungs while doing a bronchoscopy. So he had to go in and get a stitch put in that. He's had a port. He's had feeding tubes. He's had multiple PICC lines. I mean, he is the strongest person I know.
Wow, I can't imagine, like, growing up, too, like, seeing that. I can't imagine.
He is such a little champ.
Yeah, I'm sure. And, like, what a cool story to tell that, like, now he's come out of it, and he's,
he's awesome. Now he's in college. He just started his freshman year of college.
That's so sweet. Yeah. What's he going for?
He is leaning towards architecture. He's really good with computers.
That's awesome.
I know. Caleb is so good with that. So I'm so proud of him. He's doing so well.
I bet. Well, and how cool. So now, how is, like, schooling been? Has it been hard?
Oh, yeah. So the third semester, what I'm in now, I mean, we just started back this week, but all I have been told about it is that this is, like, the breaking point for people.
Oh, jeez.
So a lot of people fail this semester. I'm not planning on that.
Yeah.
But, and I did a lot of prep over the summer, so I'm feeling more confident about it.
Good.
Our specialty is mental health, but we have a lot of, like, intensive care that we face this semester. A lot of different clinicals.
Yeah.
We start clinicals this upcoming week already, so we kind of, like, jump start right into that.
Wow.
We do, like, mental health rotation in, like, psych facilities, which will be interesting.
Yeah.
And then we do a hospice rotation, and then I'm on a progressive care unit at one of our hospitals here.
So how has it been, like, seeing, like, trauma and things like that? Is it hard?
So I haven't gotten to be in, like a trauma ICU yet. It's something I'm more pursuing for my, like, nursing, like, specialty.
Right, okay.
But right now I work as a nurse extern at one of our local hospitals.
Yeah.
And it's been an awesome experience. And honestly, I had a really hard week there this week. So I've really been, like, thinking and, like, seeing, like, the hand of God on everything.
Yeah.
It was a really, like, challenging week there. and we had a couple people pass, which was my first time like experiencing that. So it's like a whole nother world of viewing like God's hand in it.
Yeah.
So, and it just makes you want to like share him more and share the gospel more and get people to know him in such like a vulnerable environment.
That's so cool. I mean, and it's important to share it then.
Yeah.
You know, like people get
people
to know
are
him.
so much more receptive to it in times of like desperation.
Yeah.
So
that's so true.
It's such like a you know, you're able to incorporate multiple things into one field.
Yeah, and that's like what we're called to do too. We're called like wherever we go to share God and share like just share him. I mean, why not?
Exactly. Or even if people aren't receptive to it, just being a light for them.
Yep.
Just being somebody that makes them smile. And what I do now, I have the time to listen to them.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about it is having those relationships with people, which is kind of like interesting because I'm on a floor right now where I can do that. You know, that people are awake and responsive.
Yeah.
But then what I'm pursuing for nursing, a lot of them are more sick and kind of on like a lot of them are on their deathbed.
Right.
So they might not be
hard.
responsive, but you still have like such a touch in their life.
Yeah.
And can influence, you know, future decisions in so
many
ways.
Like the power of prayer, you know.
Exactly.
Even if like you're alone or they're not responsive, like if you're alone there, like the power of prayer, like
exactly.
I mean, it heals. It could even heal, you know.
It
you never
does.
know.
Oh, 100%, I believe that.
And it's like I think it's awesome that you also have God is like that's like important in your life because I feel like without having him and like not knowing like where people are going or like what's gonna happen to these people, like I think it's important to have him in those situations as a nurse because you could really fall apart.
Absolutely. It's so easy to see.
Yeah.
It's so easy to see, and a lot of nurses do.
Oh, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Because you also like I can't imagine like you guys are literally taking care of these people and like for sometimes months on end.
Yeah. Some
and
people
like
can be there for a super, super long time.
Yeah, and then if they pass, I can't imagine because you create a relationship.
You do.
You know.
You do. Yep.
Well, that's so cool. I think that's awesome. Like, it's a cool story of, like, you grew up in that, and, like, you got to see that, and, like, you're like, okay, I want to help. I want to do that. That's so awesome.
Having a hand in it.
Yeah. How has it been transitioning from being a dancer to now being a nurse?
Oh, it's like a whole life switch up.
Yeah, I bet.
It's so weird because I'm so, like, passionate for both.
Yeah.
So when I was younger and I was kind of taking a step away from social media is when I started pursuing school more seriously.
Yeah.
And then I realized, like, if I start doing this, that just means I'm not going to be able to be a professional dancer.
Yeah.
And I might be able to, you know, like a lot of people on Broadway have two jobs. Like, they'll do shows and then maybe in an off season or like a Rockette, like they have an off season, all of them have two jobs. Which is definitely something I feel like I want to still pursue. Like, I know we both really want to be Rockettes, and that's just a dream of ours. And so I feel like that's something I won't ever stop pursuing. Like, I do want to audition. That is such a bucket list like thing for me.
Oh yeah.
But it was weird because it was such a switch up. You know, going from like that is my life to this is kind of my whole life.
Yeah.
Right now, at least.
It's so crazy because dance was our lives. And, like, once the cruise ship stopped, when dance was basically, truthfully, like, kind of taken away from me because of what happened with COVID, I fell apart it was 4 years because I went back on the ship I used to work on in February.
Oh, yes. I remember that.
And I was like, okay, this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. And, like, I had that closure of, like, okay, like...
Yes, because I remember you were like, I need to go back. I need to go back. I want to go back so bad.
Oh, yeah. I cried, like, every day.
So it's crazy that you're feeling that now.
And, like, I just know that what I'm doing now is, like, what God has been calling me to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you, like, know that calling or you feel that calling where he's like, okay, this is what you're supposed to be doing, it's just, like, such a clear answer.
Yes.
It's, like, no question anymore or no, like, regrets. And I know dance will come into my life again.
That's kind of how I feel.
You know?
That's kind of how I feel with it.
Yeah, it will. And it's like with Wings to Fly, it still is.
It is. It's a part of it. It's like off to the side, but you still have a foot in it.
Yes. You still have fun in it, and you're still dancing, and you're still pursuing like what the talent that God gave you. But I also am finding like the talent that God gave me and like how can I showcase him in it.
Yeah.
And not do it in like the way that I was once doing it. Because how I was doing it was definitely not doing it for the Lord.
Yes. Yeah.
But it's just like finding it, and like I think that Wings to Fly literally is that, you know, and it's like I have a big dream, you guys. I'm gonna share it with you. My dream is I texted you about this one time. I was like, I want to create a Christian company.
Yes.
Where we go to like Christian conferences and dance. How freaking fun would that be?
That would be awesome.
Like Sadie Robertson's conference, and we like open with like this amazing production of like Christian dancers. Sadie Robertson, sponsor me.
Come on, you gotta just like get us to work for you.
Seriously.
Please.
Seriously.
We'd be so down for that.
If you like need a show, if you don't have an opening, we got you.
We got you.
We got you.
We'll do it just us even.
Yeah, we will. It'd be a great show. I'll put my pointe shoes back on.
Oh yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
My ankles might break.
It's been like a oh my goodness. It's been like a year and a half for me.
I think it's been like
crazy. 7. And I miss it. I miss it so much.
All the blisters.
I miss it so much.
The bleeding.
What was hard for me is that we didn't have a studio. We still don't really have a studio.
No.
You know, and so that's kind of what was really hard for us staying involved is we lost our studio space very suddenly. Yeah. So we kind of have been hopping around to anywhere that will kind of take us in. Yeah. So that's been hard for all of us. And like keeping up dancing and finding the motivation to go in when you're in this place that doesn't feel like home. Yeah. And it's not always welcoming. Yeah. And it's not somewhere where you can just pop in and you can ask for the key and go in on your own for like 3 hours. Yeah. And so that's like a big change too for us.
It has been big and always be a part of your life. And something that you once were passionate about can always be a part of your life. But
you don't have to close the door on something just to pursue another.
Absolutely. And like just because God's giving you a season of like difference, it's okay because it'll come back. He has a plan that works out perfectly.
Sometimes you have to take a break from one thing to pursue another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have one more question for you. So you have a boyfriend.
Yes.
And is he Christian?
He is. He actually was raised Catholic, so he's technically Catholic right now. So
so
he is Catholic. I don't know why I said technically.
He is. So how has it been like that? Because I follow a lot of people that like the woman is Christian or the guy's Christian and the other one's Catholic. Like how is that?
So it's something we're still figuring out. Yeah. Like it has been tough because we've both been trying to step more into our faith. Like recently more together. Yeah. So it's been like like Catholicism and like what we are like non-denominational Christianity. It's like world of a difference between each other. It is. So it's hard to figure out how to pursue that together right now. But like we've even just tried to do devotionals like every day and talk about what we got out of it. And that's kind of how we're like connecting it together right now is like he'll do his devotional, I'll do mine at nighttime when we FaceTime and talk because we're long distance. Yeah. We'll talk about kind of what we got out of that. And even prayer looks different for both of us. You know, it's just like, it's something, and I've never been like introduced to Catholicism. And I feel very pulled to stay where I'm at as a non-denominational, traditionally like Baptist. Like I was introduced to Christianity as like in a Baptist church, which I'm not against either. No. Which I feel like Baptist churches have like a little bit of a more traditional feel. Yeah. So like growing together, I honestly don't know which direction it's gonna go in. Right. But I feel like right now, as long as we're both, at least because we're not living together right now and we're not married. Yeah. So as long as we're both pursuing God and pursuing knowing Him like each day, individually, we're gonna grow together as we keep growing our relationship.
Absolutely, and the individuality of getting to know God is so important. It's like that alone time with Him is so important, and knowing Him like on your own and growing is so important because He speaks to you alone so much differently than He speaks to people together. Yeah, you know, so that's so cool.
It even just like changes your heart, and so that's something that me and him have actually both struggled with too is kind of like losing friends in the process, which you're so familiar with too. You were so familiar with. And so something that like he's noticed a lot in the past year is the switch from like who he is as a person now, and he's about to graduate college in December, so he's nearing the end of it versus how his friends are and trying to find a clique with them still.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard when you're pursuing one thing and, you know, values versus pursuing the world and like a college life. And he goes to a big university, so there is like it's a college town. Like everybody is has that college life like lifestyle and feel and it's hard when you're not necessarily pursuing that anymore.
Yeah.
So it's been a struggle with like friendships and stuff.
That's so good. That's so awesome for him. Like that's really cool, and it's a battle. It is a battle to be out there in this world with constant temptations and constant like trying to pull you back to who you were.
Yeah.
It's
and
hard.
growth is so uncomfortable and so hard. And one thing that, because I feel like I went through the changing of friendships a couple years ago, like the most. Like I went through a point where I think we've talked about this too previously, where I literally did not have one person in my life. Like I had lost all of my friends, and it really was such a reality check for me. And you know, I try and remind him like outgrowing your friends is something that happens. And you will either reconnect with them or you'll find somebody who you click with even more.
Oh yeah. And like way better, and someone that like uplifts you instead of bringing you down. It's crazy like when you finally let go of like the people who aren't working in your life anymore and actually find the people who are. It's crazy. And then we also get to be a light to those people who didn't work and like maybe help bring them and guide them to like God or whatever it is, you know. So that's so cool. But I love that. I love that you guys are growing in your faith individually but like coming together in it. So
it's definitely a challenge.
It is.
Coming from two different worlds.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean,
yes.
Me and Chase were always Christian. Like he's always been a Christian. I've always been a Christian. But I mean, doing a complete 360 in a year.
Oh, 100%.
Of like, okay, now God's literally the center of our life.
Like everything has to change.
Everything has to change. Like everything. I mean, we literally changed everything in our relationship. But thank God we did, because we wouldn't make it if we didn't. You know, it's literally changed our relationship.
Sometimes
completely.
it comes to that point.
It does.
At least you chose the right decision.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so what's one? I think I want to start doing this.
The one piece of advice?
Yes, like I think I should maybe like at the end of my podcast,
goodness.
like what's a good piece of advice that you give to someone that they can leave with and feel good about after this podcast?
Oh gosh. This might not be advice, but it's like the first thing that came to mind, and I think it's because I've been thinking about it so much.
I love it.
But don't forget in your busy life to, like, don't pursue work. Don't let work be, like, your life.
Preach.
In, like, your busyness.
Yes.
Like, work to live, but don't live to work. Like, find and pursue the things that you want to do. Check things off your bucket list.
Yeah.
Don't get caught up in your busy.
I love that. And you want to know why I think you know that? Because you travel and you love to travel.
I do.
And you've been to Europe, and that's how Europe people live.
Yes, they do.
They do.
They do, and they really prioritize that.
They do, and they love life, and they don't care about the things. They care about actually living life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, long story short, don't get caught up in your busyness.
Yeah.
Everybody's always going to be busy, but make the decisions to make time for the things that you love and to check things off your bucket list.
Because we're so young and life is so short.
Yeah, it is.
We're the youngest we are right this second.
It is.
It's crazy. So I like that. Thanks, girl. Well, you guys, this was so much fun. I hope you liked Hannah's story. Oh my gosh, that was fun.
It was so much fun. I've been so excited for this.
I know. I was like, just like thinking, and then I literally popped in my head. I was like, Hannah, she has to come on.
I'm so glad that we made it work.
I know. And you came on for episode 16. So big one. Already.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that crazy? I've been working my little tushy up.
Yes.
I've been editing videos like a crazy person.
It's so good.
It is. It is. But I love you guys. If you could share this with anyone that you think could benefit from this, that you think needs to hear this. Hannah, thank you so much for coming on, girlfriend.
Thank you for having me.
I'll have to have you come on again.
Yes, please.
Yes, anytime. And if you're in Florida, an area that we're in, and you ever want to come see our show,
Wings to Fly Dance Company.
Yeah, come see us. I love you, girl.
I love you too. Bye,
Love you guys. Keep it real out there. Bye.